E che vi devo dire, siamo contenti, no? Siamo contenti di avere qui Willem Dafoe, grazie alla Biennale. Willem è stato ospite tante volte della Mostra del Cinema e finalmente alla Biennale Teatro, e giustamente alla Biennale Teatro, perché il percorso artistico di Willem Dafoe è estremamente teatrale, lo sanno i laboratoristi con cui ha lavorato in questi giorni e lo sanno i suoi ammiratori, i conoscitori del suo viaggio nel teatro, che è iniziato un po' di tempo fa, qualche decennio fa, possiamo dirlo, non tanto, e che ha una... More than a few, ok. E che ha un momento importante naturalmente nel Wooster Group, uno dei grandi gruppi della ricerca teatrale newyorkese. Passo subito la parola a Willem naturalmente perché ci deve raccontare tanto. Cercherò io di fare poche domande e lasciare più spazio a voi per le vostre domande e per le vostre curiosità. Allora Willem, come è nato l'amore per il palcoscenico? Come è nato il tuo rapporto con il teatro?
When I was young, it was something that I enjoyed doing. I was a normal kid, living a very normal, middle-class American life in the middle of Wisconsin, above Chicago in the United States. My wife teases me, but I always say I grew up with very little culture. I say I'm from the favelas of Appleton, Wisconsin. It was amateur love of plays at the beginning. And then as I became older, I didn't so much have an identity as an actor. I kind of just stumbled into situations, and I think it's something that's marked my choices all through life, is I've been attracted to groups of people that inspire me, and I go towards those people, and then we try to make something. And after doing that for a while, I realized I was an actor. I went to school only briefly, so I didn't have any real formal training, but I worked for a long time with a small group before the Wooster Group, and then I worked for like 25 years with the Wooster Group, and then subsequently with Richard Foreman and Bob Wilson. And I'm very excited because I'm going to make a theater piece in December with Romeo Castellucci. So, it continues.
E questa è una gran bella notizia, no? Insomma, lo vedremo a dicembre. Allora, Theater X, Wooster Group, Richard Foreman, Bob Wilson. Tante fasi diverse, tanti modi diversi di fare teatro, ma un filo conduttore che è quello del corpo. Il lavoro dell'attore per te è soprattutto un lavoro con il corpo. Allora, come hai affrontato questa sapienza, questa disciplina?
I don't know. I think, a theater that was totally based on literature and didn't have my interest. I liked shaking my butt. I liked dancing. I liked moving around the space. I liked playing strong characters. I liked mask work. I liked accents. I liked all these kind of theatrical devices. And what attracted me to the theater was not so much literature or plays or that kind of tradition, psychology. It was more the spectacle, the bending of time, the playing with visual things, and dealing with the presence of the actor.
Che erano anche le chiavi di lettura, le chiavi di accesso del Wooster Group. Qual era la giornata tipica del Wooster Group? Come lavoravate? Come creavate i vostri spettacoli?
Well, it changed. We were a group that had a space, which was very important. It's really why we survived and why we could control our work. We lived very simply. It was like a factory in the best sense of the word, that I lived across the street. I would go, we'd usually have a meeting in the morning, then we'd usually dance for a couple hours, and then we'd talk about what we were going to do, and we'd just try things out. And one thing that was important about the Worcester group is that we always rehearsed as if we were going to perform that piece that evening. There was no waiting. And often we did, and we often performed our shows as works in progress and kept on working on them through the years because we had a company. It was a very modest company. It was a company not of actors, but a company of dancers, painters, architects, people that had different backgrounds but were attracted to the theater. And that was a very fertile time for that kind of mixing it up. And most of the people were there not with a career in mind, but specifically they were like spending that time there. I think they were always thinking they would do something else, but as was I. I always thought every show that we were going to do was the last show. And we kept that for a very long time. That kind of sense of we were doing this to do this, not doing this to build an institution or build a body of work. We were always putting out fires.
Un riscaldamento che facevate la mattina, ballavate assieme, oggi fai yoga. Allora, che tipo di training hai elaborato in questi anni?
Well, with the Worcester group, we would often find a physical discipline to apply to a piece, even if we ended up not using it. But for example, our production of Phaedra, we worked a great deal with badminton. And it became an integral part of the piece. Another piece, we worked with copying a documentary about a amateur Japanese family theater that would tour around to hot springs hotels, doing snippets of classics, kind of, abridged versions of classics. We always had something to work on next to the work that would inform the work. As far as the yoga practice, that's just something personal, and it's something that's a preparation for me that is important for my work as an actor and just for life.
E ti serve forse anche per affrontare il personaggio. Che cos'è per te un personaggio? Come ne hai fatti tantissimi, non li stiamo a citare. Come lo crei? Da cosa nasce?
I think the character is born out of doing things. I don't think about characters so much. I mean, I'm always looking for triggers for the imagination. And I'm always looking for something that I can take on that teaches me something or changes me in a way that I don't recognize myself. And when I don't recognize myself, that opens the door for pretending. And I'm not protecting a certain kind of point of view, or I don't have a little agenda. It becomes all a lot freer and a lot more fun. So if I do something physical that makes me feel different, doesn't make me feel like myself, or I have a really great hairdo, or I have a really great costume, or I have really beautiful props, I work with external things. They turn me on. They change my perception of things, and then I encourage it and I accentuate that, and that becomes that kind of shift encourages the pretending. Encourages, when I say pretending, I mean the entering into a world that we're making, entering into an alternative atmosphere, an alternative world, an alternative series of gestures and language and ways of being. Because generally speaking, that's my favorite kind of theater. That bends, that changes our perception of how we see.
arriveremo a Castellucci naturalmente, ma da Richard Foreman cosa hai imparato? Cosa è rimasto del tuo lavoro con Foreman?
So many things. He's a genius. It's a shame because he works very small, so a lot of people have not seen his work. He worked for many years. Now he's quite elderly and he isn't working. It's difficult for him. But I was probably the happiest when I'm sitting in his theater. It's a place where you can really dream. It's a very plastic, very artificial world, but it's a deeply theatrical world. He's also a great mind. His texts are very important. His approach to theater is important. One thing that always stays with me, he talks about stories hide the truth. We get lulled into a certain kind of recognition and a certain kind of, yes. Empathy is important, but if we identify everything and we get in a place of comfort, we're kind of lulled into a kind of satisfied dose of culture. When he says stories hide the truth, I really respond to that. Manner, attitude, all those things kind of reinforce what we already know, where he fragments things in such a way but makes them attractive enough that you go with them, you go deep into them. His theater is both playful and intellectual at the same time. I like it very much. It's difficult because you don't know his work, do
È
you?
venuto solo 2 volte in Italia.
Raise your hand. Who has ever seen a Richard Foreman piece? 4 people.
3, 4.
Do you like it? It's beautiful, right?
Mark Ravenhill è d'accordo.
Okay.
Sì, in Italia è venuto solo 2 volte, una volta negli anni 70 e poi recentemente anni 90. Con Bob Wilson sono stati recentemente 2 spettacoli molto, molto importanti, Life and Death of Marina Abramovic, di cui c'è anche un bellissimo documentario fatto già da Colagrande, che vi invito a cercare, a comprare, e The Old Woman. Allora, come hai fatto a rimanere te stesso nella composizione millimetrica e nelle maschere che crea Bob Wilson?
I loved working with Bob Wilson. I also noted that some people can't stand working with him because he works in a very precise way. His language is very specific. He really tells you what to do a lot of the time. But at the same time, he's also very proud of the fact that he says, I never tell an actor what to think, but he shows them exactly what to do. He's got certain gestural things that recur in his theater over and over and over again. Sounds boring, but actually, he's created a language that he uses so fluently that a certain amount of work is done for you. And then, once you embrace the form, you really can go deep into it. You can feel it in a very intense and full way. And that's why I love working with him. And also, he's a guy that really encourages you to collaborate with him because you make the piece with him. So this is a dream situation where not only am I the thing, I'm the material, but I'm also a co-creator and I'm the doer. So that's the holy trinity right there. I'm very happy when I'm in that position. You're laughing.
Yes, of course.
Nobody else is.
Tra l'altro ballavi molto meglio di Baryshnikov, lo possiamo dire?
You can say it if you want.
Torniamo al lavoro sul personaggio e in particolare anche nel percorso con Bob Wilson. Abbiamo detto il corpo, una tua diffidenza rispetto al teatro di letteratura, però il teatro è anche parola, no? Insomma, quindi il lavoro sulla voce che fai è anche un altro componente importante.
I love words. But they're like objects, they're like sounds, they're like colors, they're one element. And I just think in the traditional theater, the word is it's people get upset if, they can't hear a word or two. I also think I'm talking about, a certain kind of reverence. I grew up being very oppressed by traditional English theater, for example. And then I go to England and I see all these people that sing beautifully. They say the text so beautifully, but there's nothing happening from the neck down. The actors don't move because I think there's this reverence for the text. And they're very good at it. But as we've already established, I think, as an actor, you want to get back to this kind of animal thing. How beautiful it was in Romeo Castellucci's Rome, that piece that he did. The chimpanzee gave one of the best performances I've ever seen in my life.
La tragedia Endogonidia, uno dei capitoli della tragedia.
Yeah. Being a wise guy, I kind of lost my train of thought there. But help me out here. Where were
Parlavamo
we?
di voce, di uso della voce.
The voice is a product of the body. I mean, it's part of the body. But I'm just making a case for, I believe in a theater that uses all these elements, where one doesn't take supremacy over another. That's all. I like text. I may even I've done plays with plenty of text. Life and Death of Marina Abramovich, I talked for 2.5 hours straight. I had 90% of the text. I mean, in order to do it, sometimes I said the text backwards. I mean, it was a text-heavy show. I don't hate text. I guess I hate a certain kind of traditional storytelling. That's all. Because it leads often to a kind of naturalism that kills surprise and kills danger and kills tension, because it puts us in a place of comfort where we use certain things that we recognize too much, where the theater should be able to elevate you. It should make you go, wow, better than life. This is better than life.
Chiederemo a Donnellan e Ravenhill un parere sugli attori inglesi che cantano. Gli attori italiani come sono? A parte lo scimpanzé di Castellucci.
I haven't worked with that many Italian actors. The ones I have with, I'm very happy with. How's that for a diplomatic answer? No, I don't know Italian theater so much. I know Italian movies some, and certainly classic Italian movies. But I can't really say I know Italian theater so much.
Vabbè, non apriamo il capitolo cinema per il momento. Il laboratorio qui è fatto...
Okay. We won't. We don't have to. We don't have to ever talk about it if you don't want.
Quella è la mostra del cinema. Allora, osservazione, imitazione, distrazione. Sono le 3 parole chiave del workshop che stai facendo che hai fatto qui a Venezia. Cosa vogliono dire? Osservazione, imitazione, sono attrezzi del mestiere dell'attore.
You know, when I wrote those words,
Okay.
I was under pressure to say what I would do. And I didn't know what I was going to do. As it ended up, they were sort of true, and I ended up trying to play with those things, because there's things that interest me. The workshop was very much led by the people in it, led in the respect that I took my cue off of them, what I saw and what I thought it would be fun to play with them. I see a lot of the people from the workshop here. It was a really good experience. I had fun. Observation, I don't know about that, but that goes without saying. But the copying was very important, because what we were playing with is submitting to the form. You know, because I asked them to bring in some scenes, and I saw the scenes, and they were all, you know, it's kind of the nature of the beast, but they were bringing in plays and monologues, and they were well done and charming, but they lacked a kind of tension. They weren't exciting to watch. I didn't see anything there. I wasn't engaged. I didn't see people there. I was talking to Declan yesterday, and he talked about he likes actors who are transparent. I think that's true. Sorry, name dropping. You know, I think I wanted to engage their bodies. They had to submit to something outside of themselves that wasn't driven by psychology or personality. So we played with that. And the truth is, when they submitted to a form that was handed to them, I thought they blossomed. They were more watchable. They were clearer, and I saw people there. I saw their humanity, if it was, you know, because they're dealing. There's a tension there. There's a struggle. They're dealing with something rather than something they absolutely control, and then they're serving well prepared on a platter to you.
I grandi attori ci hanno insegnato la possibilità di creare una maschera e con quella maschera attraversare personaggi diversi, situazioni diverse, e però mantenere quel connotato, no? quella identificabilità, quella personalità. Charlie Chaplin, per fare solo Orson Welles. Che cos'è la maschera?
It's a thing for, I guess it's a thing for the actor to hide behind initially to make him or her feel free, and then kind of be reborn because they feel free. When I can think of instances, I kind of hinted at it before, but to have a good costume, to have a heavy makeup, you look in the mirror, you don't see yourself, you don't feel like yourself. You can make that leap. It's, from the actor's standpoint, it's a disorientation. It loosens things up. It, you know, who you are is a little up for grabs and allows you to apply yourself to another set of ideas or perceptions or ways of being. And that's exciting because actors are best, here's another thing, actors are best when they can tap into, this is the other thing about physicality, actors are best when they can tap into the intelligence of the body. And the body is much more intelligent than we give it credit for, and it's usually much better in a live situation like the theater than the mind is, because the mind wants to control too much, I think.
Certo.
Started out talking about one thing, kind of slipped into another, didn't we?
Vabbè, ti seguiamo lo
You
stesso.
know what, I don't know, I'm happy to talk about things, but sometimes I feel like it's not my work. You know, in the same way that I was very hesitant to do the workshop. And in the end, I'm happy I did. But I'm not a teacher. And sometimes I feel like actors shouldn't talk about their work. I mean, yeah.
Beh, poi, insomma, dopo aver
But I
dichiarato
like you, Andrea, so much that I have to.
Grazie. Il pubblico. Ti interessa, non ti interessa, ci giochi, non ci giochi. Che rapporto hai? Il teatro di Bob Wilson è un po' freddo rispetto al pubblico?
I love the audience. No, listen, I want the people to like the show. The audience, you know, they're an important part of the theater.
Okay.
But I think when you make something and when you approach thinking about what you're doing. I don't think about the audience so much because I trust if I'm doing something that interests me, there's going to be like-minded people out there. And also, I think it's dangerous sometimes to get into this game of imagining what the audience wants or what's going to give them pleasure. Naturally, it happens, just like as a social thing. You know, there's things that titillate me sometimes may titillate you. I mean, I'm conscious of that connection. But I try not to think about the audience because I think that limits your impulses. I think you have to, you know, it's the old kind of, you got to please yourself and the people that you're working with, or engage yourself in a meaningful way in the people you're working with before you can engage an audience. You can't skip and think about them and then work backwards. And as far as the actual performing, they're an incredible energy, but you know, it depends on the venue. With Richard Foreman normally performs in a theater of 100 people. You can see faces if you choose to. But with Bob Wilson, I've performed in, you know, theaters of 3,000. I must say, I like that little less, but at the same time, you can get into an incredible place when you're out on one of these big stages and it's all black and you've got Bob's incredible lighting and you're doing these things, you know, it's like you're on the moon. And that's exciting too, because you can sometimes go very deep into another state. I do like that. So I like both. You know, the truth is, I've always done a mix of things. I don't have, my only tendency is the one that you note. I like to move around.
Che lavoro farete con Castellucci? Cosa si può dire? Cosa si può...
A show that I hope people will like. No, it's too early to talk about.
Perché ti piace Castellucci?
Oh, I've seen some pieces of his that I like very much, and he reached out to me. Yeah, and I'm Italian now, so it only seems right.
Esatto. Domande vostre. Avanti, chi comincia?
Which young company from US, still not yet with an international audience, you could suggest to us? And the other one is, which are the European directors, movie directors you like more?
I can't answer your question because first of all, as far as U.S. companies right now, I'm in the U.S. so little because I'm either performing, if I'm in the theater, I'm performing on tour, and that's not in New York, or I'm on a movie set. So I'm really not very knowledgeable. And as far as film directors, it's a long list. It's a long list. And I get self-conscious because I'll leave somebody out.
Non insistiamo, non è un interrogatorio. Qui era a metà, quarta fila, grazie.
No, but see, that shows I do want to entertain you. I'm not cold to the audience.
I'll ask you this question in English. I was wondering, working here at the workshops at the Biennale, working with different groups, people speaking different languages, can often be a challenge to translate exactly what's happening. I was wondering, with your work in the US and elsewhere, if cultural context influences in some way or another your work in a theater.
In its reception, of course. I mean, cultural conditioning runs deeper than we think, I think. And touring with the Wooster Group, for example, you know, where we went was not only shaped by who actually wanted to give us money to come, but also where, at that moment, the work was being received well. And that had to do a lot with what was happening in the culture, I think. And you saw places where you fall in and out of favor. So cultural conditioning is a big thing. I don't want to talk about movies, but one of my favorite things about, and it's such a lesson of being on a jury at film festivals, is you have people from these different countries, and you're looking at the same movie, and there's wildly different reactions. And they aren't influenced because they aren't movies that are released. They're fairly direct. And you sit down and you see wildly different things. And it can only, I mean, it often is largely due to, you know, the cultural differences. And that's always fascinating to see that this, you know, to somebody, this is one thing to me, and it can be a weapon to someone else, it can be a lifesaver to someone else, it can be something to throw out to someone else, you know. The same thing can mean lots of different things, and that's exciting, because when then you start to question certain things that you take as givens, and it kind of broadens your mind and makes you more flexible, more generous, and, you know, kind of more open. Makes life more fun. As far as the workshop, we conducted it in English, and I think sometimes, you know, there are subtle differences. You know, if I pointed out to them today, you know, everyone spoke English quite well. They're more challenged, you know, depending if they're performing in English. I sometimes would say, hey, do it in the language you most feel comfortable with. I'd miss some things. I speak some Italian, but not fluently. Spanish, not really. French, not at all, pretty much. You know, we played around, but they were good. But sometimes, like, a simple statement like talking about the difference between doing and showing, they're words that aren't really similar, but, you know, in the texture of them, there's quite a bit difference. And I think if you aren't a fluent speaker, you might miss that.
Bob Wilson ha detto di Bob Wilson ha detto di Willem che ha due doti enormi, che sono l'apertura mentale e la voglia di sperimentare, che mi sembrano anche queste chiavi importanti per il mestiere d'attore. E l'avete anche già intuito da questo incontro, c'è una grande verve comica, attorale comica molto alta in Willem, che anche se normalmente fa parti da cattivone, no? Che cos'è il comico? Che cos'è la comicità?
I guess it's comic when people laugh. I don't know.
Okay.
No, I mean, really, I don't think of, in the similar way that I always laugh when people say, oh, you play so many bad guys. I don't even think about that. I mean, sometimes it's clear, you know what your function is in a story. But, you know, that's when you're stepping back from it and I'm in it. I don't think about these things. Comic, I never know, you know, who knew that something like Wild at Heart would be so wildly comic, you know? It's violent, it's nutty, you know? But I'm not thinking about that.
Okay.
Are you not talking about any film roles at all? I just want to ask you how it felt to play Jesus Christ, since you keep talking about playing bad guys.
Yeah, no, I like playing Jesus. That was a good experience. I recommend it to anyone. Go home, do it tonight.
Hi. Forgive me, this is going a ways back, but was it Theater X that you worked with before Worcester Group? It was, okay. So...
do you know them?
Yeah, I worked with them, but in the 90s. So,
whoa, well...
and I don't know what they were doing when you were with them, but they actually, when I was there, and as I know of their history, they are a text-based group, although usually the texts are not realistic texts. They're a little more out there. So I don't know if it's fair to ask. Because you've spoke about you know, what you got out of working with Foreman, Wilson, Worcester. Is there anything you can say about those early years and what propelled you on from there?
Yeah, it's a little funny because people probably don't know their work. because they're not so well known in Europe. It was a small company. It was, we had a space. It was self-run. We had a resident playwright. You're right, it was text-based, but it was always kind of very inventive stagings. I was a young kid, you know. I stayed with them only for 2.5 years, so maybe that tells you something. I would have stayed with them if it was the dream place, but I felt like the playwright was writing plays for the company, which was cool. I liked that, but it was limited because he was limited in how he saw me, I felt, and saw the other people. And while he was very committed, and I admired him a great deal, and he was a good writer, I felt like we were doing the same plays over and over again. Because, yeah, that's just what I felt like. And also I felt the siren call of New York, because that was 1976, punk was just breaking. We had a small press bookstore in the lobby of Theater X in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I was reading interviews of Richard Foreman, the Open Theater, things about Grotowski, Bob Wilson. I was reading these things, and Milwaukee, Wisconsin, they weren't passing through much, so I thought, go to Mecca. For me, was New York. So.
È interessante il tuo discorso sull'animale come attore.
O l'attore come animale.
O l'attore come animale. Volevo farti, diciamo, una domanda anche rispetto al pubblico e la tua relazione col corpo, cioè quando vivi nel teatro hai una platea che ti guarda e allora hai, immagino, una libertà diversa che quando lavori nel cinema, cioè come attore quando hai una telecamera puntata il tuo corpo rispetto a un pubblico che senti con l'energia, che differenza c'è? Cioè cosa ti succede dentro come attore? Qual è la differenza? Grazie. Cosa vivi, ecco?
Oh, you're going off on lots of questions there, one at a time. They're all good questions, and they're all questions I ask myself and people ask me sometimes. The animal thing is just about, the kind of, through the body, through that animal stuff, through the simple stuff, or through simple needs, without the spin on it, that's where we live. And we can get, through the truth, to what's really going on through that kind of approach for me. It points us to our relationship to each other, our relationship to nature, what the nature of being here, in a very direct way, in a very tangible way for me. And even you can even go crazier if it points to nature and then nature points to, cosmic law. So that's the way for me, just in a broad way. The other thing you asked, cinema. You use your body in cinema, not enough. I try to use things that I can, but you do use your body. One of my favorite things is, dancing with the camera. Sometimes you really have a choreography with the camera. The camera is your audience. But they are different. The other day recently I had to write something and I was kind of pleased with my little phrase that in cinema you capture and in theater you conjure. So they're very different. They're very different. And I probably, in many ways, feel like theater is healthier because it's more whole. You do use your body more. But I try to find cinema projects where my body is engaged.
Come si sceglie un regista? Non è sempre il regista che sceglie l'attore, a volte, e nel tuo caso capita, è l'attore che sceglie il regista.
you see interesting work, you say, I want to work with that person, and if it makes sense, then you stalk them.
Okay.
Or, it's, I see something beautiful, I say, I want to be involved in that. I want to be the material for that person that has a very strong aesthetic or a strong point of view. I want to help them do what they want to do because I like to attach myself. This is very important, and I try to express it, and I fail so often, but I like attaching myself to someone that maybe doesn't, it's not me. I have to go towards their vision, and in that going towards that vision, that's the work, that's the pleasure, that's the creation. And I love that because you're transformed in that creative journey. So in order to do that, to give you the balls, the confidence to do that, you have to see something in the director that makes you think that's worth it. Submitting to them, helping them, being material for them.
Prego, quindi avanti e poi là.
Thanks. I think my question relates a little bit to that. Can you speak a bit about your relationship with the director when they choose you for a part, be it theater or movie? How much give are you given by the director to improvise or to get across the character that they have chosen you to do or you've taken on the role? Because you're such a seasoned actor, do they give you free rein as long as you get their point across, or do you kind of have to do what they say and then you work with them to figure it out? Can you speak a bit about that?
All of those. I think it's different with each person and how they invite you. Also, one thing we don't talk about much is every movie, every play, your function is different. And what kind of performance you have to give is different. There's no cookie cutter thing. So you have to look at, what are we doing here? What do we got? What has to be done? Where are we headed? What do you need me to do? What don't you need me to do? And you weigh all those things. And sometimes they say, I don't know, or you got to help me, or we're going to make this together. And then there's something that neither of you know, you arrive at. But sometimes there's someone that knows exactly what they want. Bob Wilson's a curious mix of the two because he's got this very specific language that he's developed and very specific aesthetic that he goes to all the time. But when he makes a theater piece, he sort of, and I think he's sincere in this, he has a few tricks up his sleeve, but when he enters a space, he doesn't know. He makes it with you. And sometimes he doesn't know. I remember him, we did a workshop in Madrid for Life and Death of Marina Abramovich, and I swear to God, he was walking, stumbling around the stage at one point going, Mama, Mama, Mama. He didn't know. Then sometimes there's someone that knows exactly what they need you to do, and you have to decide whether that suits you and whether you want to do that. But it's never what you think it's going to be. Thank God.
Avevamo un'altra domanda lì a metà.
Buonasera.
Buonasera.
Anch'io approfitto della sua italianità e parlerò in italiano. C'è stato un momento...
I have a little help here too.
C'è stato un momento particolare della sua carriera in cui non si è sentito all'altezza, magari per un film o per uno spettacolo teatrale, e se c'è stato, come è riuscito poi ad uscirne?
It happens all the time. No, I don't want to be coy. There's always a terror, and I'm happy for it because the terror is always there, but as you get older, as you have more work, you recognize, I've been here before. I'm going to get out of this. And in fact, as I get older, as I get more seasoned, a code for older, when I'm in that panic or I'm in that place of insecurity or not knowing, I kind of enjoy it. And somewhere there's a part of me that says, "Hi, this is the good sign. This is the good sign." It's the bad sign if immediately you know exactly how it should go. Because then it's harder to lift it up. Then it's harder to be excited, be transformed, be turned on by it. You know, I'm very disciplined, but there's a part of me, you know, very disciplined, but there's a part of me that has kind of learned to say, I don't know what this is, but it's going to be something, and keep on going. And sometimes if you relax and if you keep your, you know, keep working, something is born. That's all.
Hello. I want to know, what's your relationship?
Oh!
What?
Just the way you started scared me.
No, don't worry. I'm not scary. Look at me. So, don't worry.
Love you.
Okay.
Love you.
I wanted to know if there is one. What's your relationship with music? I mean, I'm creating a character. If there is one, or in life, if you want to tell me.
With music, in
music.
helping create a character. Yeah. You know, in this workshop, music is what drove what we were doing. It was very important.
Okay, I didn't know that.
But at the same time, you know, the other day, I can't remember what the context was, but someone said, you know, what kind of music do you listen to? And I'm like, all kinds, you know? I really listen to everybody's music, but there's nothing like, one of my favorite things to do is singing with a group of people or hearing a pop song with a bunch of people. And we did it in the workshop, you know, sometimes just moving around. It's a very quick way to come together. So music is very important. It's a very pure art.
Hello.
Hello.
You were talking about that more often we trust our head than we trust our body. So I'm also a very head-heavy actress, I would call it maybe.
Okay.
So to overcome, not that the body has to follow the head, I try sometimes to be really fast. So the body is faster than my head, but makes me very nervous actress, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Is there some practice you use to that you trust your body on stage?
I don't. It's a good question. I will say, you know, speed is one thing to use. I always remember when I did a production with the Wooster Group of The Hairy Ape, which is all these monologues. And the director wanted me to do them very, very fast. And literally, my rhythms are very slow. I speak slowly, very slowly. When I started doing these texts very fast, and it's a very repetitive text, it's a rant, it's a angry monologue after monologue. Do people know this play? I only know in German. It's called The Haarige Apfel. That's nice, Haarige Apfel. The Hairy Ape by Eugene O'Neill. But I did it very fast, and I found another way, because I realized that how beautiful the writing was, because it had a rhythm in its repetition, and it became a song for me. So fast is not bad, and it doesn't necessarily have to make you nervous. if you're doing fast because you're pushing through things, I don't know. It's, as far as trust of the body, I don't know, it's practice, practice, practice. So practice, practice, practice. So, you know, you're always, a part of you is comfortable.
Volevo sapere se c'è un film in programma, anche se stiamo parlando di teatro.
Many. I'm a busy guy. No, I am. I'm in the middle of shooting. I just finished one last Friday. I'm in the middle of developing a couple. I'm shooting a movie in October, November.
Si lavora tanto. Abbiamo tempo per un'ultima domanda. Ecco, signora Di.
Consigli per i giovani che vogliono affrontare il lavoro dell'attore?
I'm really bad at advice. I really am. No. I think everybody's got to find their own way. And it's a little silly. I mean, I could say what I knew helped me, but that doesn't necessarily. I will say that it's good to. No, I will say this. For young actors, they should go towards people that excite them. Forget about what level of participation. I'm talking about really young starting actors. Just see what you love, go get near it. And I'm kind of old-fashioned. I believe in apprenticeship. I believe in, you know, if you love a theater and even if you're doing small roles or whatever and you get to hang out with these people, they'll inspire you. And then if something happens and you get you know, larger roles or, you know, insinuate yourself into the fabric of that theater, it'll happen. Or you'll tire of them and move on. But always go towards the people that you, that excite you. And don't think so much about career. That'll take care of itself. You'll either continue to work or you won't, and there's no way to assure that. That's sort of an advice. Yeah.
Chi sarà il nuovo presidente degli Stati Uniti?
Oh, I'm so tempted to say something. Well, I don't know. But, oh, damn. Everyone's praying that a certain gentleman does not get in office.
Grazie.
It goes without saying. I mean, the un-PC version is, no, I won't.
Vabbè. Allora, grazie a Willem Dafoe.
Okay, thank you.
Grazie a voi. A domani.
And once thanks again to my participants in the workshop.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you. Go, thank you.